So my name's Lucy Barrett. As you said, I'm the client director at Radiocentre. For those that aren't from the UK, we're the industry body for commercial radio. And I also have the honour of being the first president of the World Radio Alliance. And you might ask yourself what it is, so we're going to explain it. And I'm here with Thierry from Egta, my good friend. And we're going to give you an overview of kind of audio, or more specifically radio, across Europe and why it is time to start speaking with one voice. So as I said, we're the industry body, and we have a call to action called See Radio Differently. Originally, it was launched here in 2015 as a call to marketers and kind of advertising and agencies to reappraise radio and be more ambitious with it, and it has really paid off. We had record revenues this year once again, but more recently, we've been incorporating it into the kind of audio landscape and thinking about how our members have evolved some of their offerings as well.
So thank you, Lucy. Thank you, President. And thank you for having me here today. So I'm very happy to be here and to see people in 3D finally. So I'm Thierry Mars. I look younger there. As you can hear, I'm not an English-speaking native. And I'm radio director at Egta that I joined a year and a half ago after a bit more than 20 years in media agencies and media sales houses. Egta is, as you can read, the Association of Television and Radio Sales Houses. So we now have 163 sales houses as members of Egta across 43 countries. So that means a network of more than 2,000 top executives. And our role at Egta is to help members to secure, diversify, and develop their revenues.
Okay, so, we talk about there being an audio revolution. It is the theme of today. And the last decade, we've seen the rise of more forms of commercial audio, from podcasts to streaming services. Yet radio's resilience has remained intact. Here in the UK, radio is listened to by nearly 90% of all adults weekly. And actually, it is no different in Europe. Some countries it differs a little bit, but it averages out just under 90% as well. To you.
So nowadays, with the digital revolution, the audio landscape is evolving rapidly, accelerated by the pandemic. And today, there are more devices, audio devices than ever before, such as the smartphone, the smart speakers, the headphones that are everywhere from the street to the gym. And we can also listen to audio on toothbrushes. So there are more players, more content, and more formats than ever. I could mention the rise of the podcast, for example. We can listen to live or on-demand audio. The coverage has also been amplified. We can name the 5G or the DAB+, for example. And the audio quality and the experience are optimized. We can name the 3D sound or the noise cancellation on the earbuds or headphones. So we can proudly say that we are in the golden age of audio. Audio is everywhere, and the consumption of audio is growing.
Now, some of you from the UK may know this chart. It's one we talk about a lot, but it shows what's been going on with on-demand listening. So Radar Midas launched, I think, in 2014, of the winter of 2014. And the yellow box there shows the on-demand music services have been growing. And they've been growing at the expense of owned music, so CDs and Apple Music. And you can also see podcasts have steadily been growing as well. So the fight is really going on between own music and stream music, and it looks like streaming services are winning. We are much more comfortable not to own music anymore, but more turn it on and off like a tap. But if I add radio back in, you will see that very little has changed. Radio still dominates. It's around 75% of the total market. And this is kind of what is replicated in many markets in Europe as well. So obviously, Thierry was talking about tech, and we're going to hear from a lot of tech companies today, but actually radio's resilience has been really helped by technology. In the UK, smart speakers now account for 10% of total radio listening. But actually, and this might surprise you, radio is by far the most widely accessed form of audio entertainment through a smart speaker. And trust. Oh my goodness, I cannot say enough about trust. At a time when, trust has never been more under the spotlight, the rise of fake news, it is important to say that radio is the most trusted medium. And this is the EU barometer. It happens every year. They look at it, and for the last 12 years, radio has remained as the most trusted, and we must keep that and treasure it. And this was brought home to me quite recently at a different audio conference in Sweden a few weeks ago, when they had these two gentlemen, Dimitro and Andriy, from the Ukraine Public Radio, talking about, from a bunker, about how they have brought vital radio services to the people of Ukraine. And, it was incredibly moving, but also it just brought it home to me how important a medium radio really is. But also, some happy stuff here. Let's not forget why its popularity is so enduring. Entertainment is, the most important probably form of it is music on radio. And as that previous chart I showed you, that radio complements streaming services and podcasts, and actually it offers different need stakes. It offers a human touch. It offers the serendipity of not hearing a song you haven't heard for a while, and it's actually a connection to the outside world. Whereas streaming or podcasts, they offer immersion in music, a connection into your own world, and instant gratification. But actually, when it comes to discovery, music discovery, radio is still the #1 place to do it. As Ed Sheeran here is saying, most artists, they go out on the road, they go and see stations when they have a new album come out. It is so important and vital that music remains as strong as it is on radio. And actually, there's a sort of survey done every so often by Nielsen called Music 360. And at the last one, 61% of people said that they discovered new music on radio. And actually, the next biggest one was around 45% was your friends and family recommendations. And streaming services and social media were around 20%. So during the pandemic, new habits have definitely been established across the world. We've seen the rise of home working, not just in the UK, but in almost every market. It is here to stay in one form or another. I know everybody has a different thing that they go into the office once a week or twice a week, but actually across the world, it is here to stay. And it's been a huge opportunity for radio. And actually, for all these reasons up here, you can understand. We all come from an audio background. We know what radio does for you. But actually, it's also the ultimate multitasking medium. You can just get on with your job while it's on. But also, it's made it a really desirable for some brands to get heard by some, quite desirable audiences. The working from home audience has a high ABC1, they're high ownership, and they have way ahead of the minimum wage. So they're really good. And since the pandemic, and Thierry talked about the kind of rise of lots of tech things, but actually the rise of the sort of direct-to-consumer brands has seen it accelerate massively in the last couple of years. So this is brands that were born online. And we've seen that increase by about 88% in the UK, but we know it's replicated in lots of markets. So there's so many exciting things happening in terms of desirable brands. But, so yes, in our market, we know what we're doing. Radiocentre's brief is pretty clear. It's to kind of shout as loud, but not be annoying, about all the values of radio to advertisers. We have a really comprehensive website. We have free lifestyle images of people listening to radio in real life. And actually, I would argue, thanks to our brilliant planning director, that we have more effectiveness data than any other medium in the world. But, as Thierry has been saying, much of this is replicated across Europe and around the world, and yet perhaps radio isn't always thought in the same way as it is over here. And we also know that big media decisions are also not being made in the UK. So, shock horror. As the world becomes smaller and radio, and actually all audio, could be in danger of being missed off media plans, big advertisers aren't consistent across Europe. You know, for instance, there's a top, and I can't name it, but there's a top retail brand here in the UK that spends about 10% of its total ad budget on radio, but in somewhere like Ireland, it spends 28%. Now, I'm sure there's many reasons for this, and it's not just based on the fact they're not hearing consistent messages. But imagine what would happen if all the decision makers in all of the markets got a similar message about radio, and that's what we're trying to achieve. So I would agree that it's harder to create a global audio ad than it is to perhaps create a TV brand, a TV ad or a print ad across multiple regions, because unlike TV or print, you know, audio is about language and tone of voice. But on a country-by-country basis, an audio ad needs to reflect the conversation in the market. But there are some things that we can take forward, like sonic branding. But if the conversation about radio or audio isn't happening in the head office, then even some global sonic brands won't be created. And this wonderful, booming audio revolution isn't going to get the advertising it deserves.
Thank you. So amplifying and raising the profile of TV and radio is one of the pillars of Egta. In this audio revolution, as Lucy just said, radio is still dominant, and we are convinced that it is crucial that we communicate about the strength of radio to all the players of the ecosystem, such as the advertisers, media agencies, media gurus, and journalists. And this is why a year ago we initiated the idea of creating an informal grouping of trade bodies across the world. And 9 months later, we gave birth to a very beautiful baby, and we gave him the name World Radio Alliance. Okay. And the objective of the World Radio Alliance is to promote the power and the value of radio with an unified voice. We officially launched the World Radio Alliance in February on the occasion of the World Radio Day. We now have 18 trade bodies, so 18 members on board, representing 16 countries across the world, mainly in Europe, but also in the US, Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and others. We have a website. I invite you to have a look at it. You can find there a video that we released for the launch, also some advertisers that testify the power of radio in their media plans, and also invite you to follow up on LinkedIn and Twitter. And here are some of the messages we would like to go out with, such as radio allows brands to reach millions of people on a daily basis. As you can see, in Europe, radio has a daily reach of 70%, and European listeners are listening more than 3 hours a day to radio. So this means that radio allows brands to reach millions of people in a very short time. But radio is also a business booster for brands, and there are numerous studies to prove it. I will go quick on this because we still have like 1 minute. So radio is a multiplier. There are numerous cases demonstrating that radio has a campaign multiplier effect in the media mix, enabling to amplify efficiency, ad recall, etc. It is also proven that radio drives immediate activation and generates strong ROI. You can see here a recent French study that reports that €1 or 1 point invested on radio generates 7.7 times return on investment. Radio is also a brand builder. It has brand to grow. Radio is a digital booster, driving traffic, search, and e-commerce. And we have seen lately that there are a lot of e-commerce companies advertising on radio. And these are only a few arguments about radio and its strengths. And I invite you to have a look on our website, on the deck that we made with 13 arguments about how radio boosts your business.
I don't think we've got time to do the
Creators to
video.
escalate the
I think we'll just have
international
to move on.
conversation about the power and importance of radio all around the globe. Over the last decade, we've seen the rise of more commercial audio formats. You could say audio is in the midst of a media revolution with radio at its heart. Over 5 billion people listen every day, and those listeners spend an average of 3 hours with their favourite station. Through the good times and the bad, radio is a companion to people all around the world. With a weekly reach of 70% of the Earth's population, radio helps brands connect with customers on an unprecedented scale. Initiated by Egta, the World Radio Alliance brings together trade bodies representing radio companies and sales houses all across the world, with a clear objective to communicate the effectiveness and the enduring popularity of radio. But radio continues to innovate and adapt to a changing media landscape, providing audiences and advertisers with new and exciting technological advances. Radio is no longer just a box in the corner of the room. It's now a smart speaker, a mobile app, a live stream, and a whole lot more, accompanying listeners at home, in the car, and on the go. The rise of new ways of listening has led to an ever-increasing diversity in listener choice, keeping the world entertained and informed with a wide range of music, entertainment, and trusted news. But radio is not just easily accessible to billions. Crucially, it's also free. For advertisers, radio doesn't just deliver large audiences, it has also proven to help organisations of all size grow. Radio offers an unrivaled reach, enabling brands to speak to billions of listeners in a trusted, ad fraud and bots-free environment, boosting campaigns with a unique multiplier effect in the media mix. And with audio, there are no shackles on creativity. Affordable production costs mean companies of any size can literally shoot for the stars with their radio ads. Radio is the world's trusted friend, and as it continues to play a central role in the audio revolution, the World Radio Alliance is here to guide you through it.
So that's kind of it from us. There's a bit of a summary here, but we've run over already. But I just wanted to leave with one final thought, which is quite simply, it's time for radio, which is still by far the biggest part of the audio revolution, to speak with one voice for the good of all audio. So thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of the day.